Good morning. I'm going to be talking about faith, but specifically trusting God with your future. And trusting God is like a trust fall. If you don't know what a trust fall is performed with one or a group of people. You get on a platform or a step, and then they gather behind you. And they get ready to catch you because then you are going to fall back and you're going to trust them with your mental and physical health. So I have never really actually fallen through with this trust fall. I can't find myself to trust anybody. But let's look at an example where someone did follow through with the trust fall and trusted God with his future. So turn to Hebrews 11, and we'll be starting in verse 17, and we are going to 19. This is the story that took place in Genesis where God tells Abraham to take his son out onto the mount and sacrifice him to the Lord. By faith, when Abraham was tested, he offered up Isaac, who had received the promises, was offering up his only begotten son, to whom it was said, "In Isaac your descendants shall be called." He considered that God could even raise people from the dead. So I think you can see that because he trusted God with his future and that everything would be okay, he was able to come very close to killing Isaac, but because he was stopped by God, he was really deep in his faith. He tested that, because he was tested. He knew that God would keep his promise, just like a trust fall. He trusted God that he would be caught by God. If we go to verse 20, you see that Isaac actually that God keeps his promise, and Isaac has two sons, Jacob and Esau. And then you also see that if you go to Genesis 27, verse 27, going through to 31, that Jacob steals Esau's birthright, and Esau builds up a lot of hatred towards Jacob and wants to strike him down. But we go back to Hebrews 11, verse 20, and we see that Isaac blesses Jacob and Esau, even regarding things to come. He trusts God just as Abraham did. Well, for my last example, turn to Matthew 14. We will be starting at verse 26. And this is the story where the disciples are in the middle of a storm and they are frightened. The waves are big, the wind is howling, and they're afraid. And they see not God, but Jesus on the water. And so starting in 26, when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It's a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter said to him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And Peter got out of the boat and walked towards Jesus on the water. But seeing the wind and the waves, he started to sink. He cried out, "Save me, Lord." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and took a hold of him and said, "Why, you of little faith, why do you doubt?" I gave you this example to show you that we need Jesus to walk on these waters. We cannot walk on these waters alone. We need his help. If Peter did not have Jesus there to save him, he would have died. And we would too without Christ. So oftentimes we fall into the sea of sin because we fall in our faith. We might be mourning because we lost someone, or we are going through a really hard time because maybe we have a lot of health bills, we have taxes, and this can all take a really big toll on us. Either way, we need to pray and entrust our life to him. He has already promised that if we obey him, he's already promised that if we obey him, we'll be okay. So are you ready? If you are, then amen.